Right then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you happen to be. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knickknack. I'm the brains behind Knickknack's Daily Teaser, which is the world's most fun brain teaser quiz ever. I also write a blog called Knickknack's Old Peculiar, which I update once a day at least. I also talk about movies if and when I see them. I also try and remember to turn on the lights, and I also talk about TV shows if I think I've seen something you'd be interested in hearing about. Over the past few weeks, I've been watching the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, but I've also been watching the 4th season of Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind. Tonight is Tuesday the 28th, yesterday was Monday the 27th, and yesterday was when I saw the 3rd episode of this full series, The Bear Hug. I wanted to tell you about it. Episode 3, The Bear Hug, opens in darkness, which slowly lifts to show us a seriously scared Margot Madison, Ryan Schmidt, has been arrested during unrest in her adopted nation, the USSR. Arrested in unrest. She and other detainees are to be made an example of by forces attempting a coup against Mr. Gorbachev. Post-credits, we see news reports in the States telling us that a coup is underway in the Soviet Union and that Soviet hardliners led by Fyodor Kozhensko, my Russian is atrocious, are fighting those loyal to Mikhail Gorbachev. Those reports are being closely watched in the US and at the Happy Valley base on Mars, especially by Svetlana Zakharova, Maria Mashkova, who's one of the lead Russian pilots. She is deeply concerned both for her fellow Russian cosmonauts and for her family, and by the simple fact that the Soviet Space Agency and Star City, its base, are having a communications blackout. It's worrying when there's a coup going on. Svetlana is not the only concerned member of Happy Valley's crew. Miles, Toby Kebbell, is deeply concerned not by the Russian coup, he's an American after all, but by the lack of money in his bank account. And he's concerned enough that having a word with Ilya, Happy Valley's resident smuggler and black marketeer, seems like a good idea, even when Miles, completely by accident, destroys a thermostat on Ilya's very dubious illicit still. Things could get nasty. Now, what did I make of this episode of For All Mankind? What did I make of The Bear Hug? Just as a totally unscripted extra thought, I think the bear in this episode's title refers to Russia itself, the Russian bear. I could be wrong, but I could be right. I don't know. But that's just a totally unscripted thought that you won't see mentioned on the blog version of this review. Did I see anything I know? Let's get that second point out of the way, shall we? Yes, the coup that's at the heart of this episode, the one that sees this world's version of Mikhail Gorbachev replaced by a hardline member of the KGB, sounded very much like the real-world 1991 coup, the unsuccessful one that saw plotters try and overthrow the then Soviet leader. The connection, to me at least, seemed obvious, as did the inspiration for Dev Ayesa, Edie Gathegi, who returns in this episode. Many speculated that when the character first appeared, back in Season 3, that he was based loosely on Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, the big sort of heavyweight tech guys. I didn't, and I'm still not. I'm convinced the character is based on Steve Jobs. There was a presentation the character gives in the first episode he's in back in the third series. I sat and watched it and thought, that's a Steve, no. That's one of the that's very much in the Steve Jobs style of the presentations he did for both Next and Apple. But if that's truly the case, which I think it is, if that is truly the case, then the bear hug is showing us For All Mankind's versions of Jobs' return to Apple in 1997. I don't know who would have been more nervous, the fictional board of Helios that are getting kicked out of the board meeting at the end of this episode, or real-world Apple staff back in 1987. If I've understood some of the stories and rumours doing the rounds about Jobs' return, those stories said don't get in the lift with a new chief executive officer if you want to keep your job when you get off. Whether that's true, I don't know, but certainly the guy had a formidable reputation that seems to have rubbed off on the Dev Ayesa character, I think. At any rate, the other thing I noticed was a character called Ilya. I have known men like Ilya. Friendly, affable, always ready to get hold of stuff, perfectly legal stuff, at surprisingly reasonable prices. Where from? Well, I was never going to ask, not when the Ilias I knew were charging such reasonable prices for very large amounts of tobacco. Intergalactic equivalent of the dodgy bloke in a car park, in this episode, for me, did one thing. They remind me that humanity is very much exactly that. It's human, whether it's on Earth, whether it's on the moon, whether it's in Mars, whether it's in an office in Silicon Valley, or on the Texan coast, or on the Florida swamps. Humanity is human. Right, I can hear you asking me now. You're saying, Paul, did you see a very enjoyable episode? Yes, I did. I thoroughly loved this episode. It showed me aspects of life, good, bad, and surprisingly familiar, that we've come to expect, and done so in a dramatically satisfying way. And what's more, in showing us that Margot Madison has been offered one hell of an interesting job, it's left us with a twist that will get resolved in next week's episode. Frankly, I will be watching that next episode next week. Between now and next Monday, I'm going to be watching Wild Blue Yonder, the next episode of the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, on the 2nd of December of this year, and I'll have my written and video reviews up of them on the 3rd, so that's next Sunday, hopefully. I will be watching House Divided, the next episode of For All Mankind, on the 4th of December 2023, and I will be putting my written and video reviews up on the 5th. I would hopefully expect you want to see them. If you do, please subscribe to my channel and ding the notification bell. That way you will get notified when my videos and my blog posts have gone live. I will hopefully see you then. I will hopefully also leave you with the immortal words of the late Patrick McGoohan, when he very famously and very repeatedly said, "Be seeing you."